This is how I win 87% of the offers that are right. Chances are you're probably writing a lot of offers for your clients, but a lot of them don't get accepted. And you lose those offers, and you sometimes lose even the client because sometimes clients give up on the home buying process just because they didn't get that perfect property. And if they don't get a couple properties, they lose the whole motivation of buying. So you could be making at least one sale per month if you just learn and fix the issues that are doing in order to get those properties for your clients and make more money. Everything starts with a preparation. As soon as you got a call from a client, you have to start preparing them for the multiple offer situation. You have to tell them about the interest rates, the fact that there's commissions. Sometimes they will need to pay, but most likely they won't. But still, they have to remember that they might. The interest rates, the commissions, the closing costs, and the price. And there's a chance that at the end of the day, you might feel like you overpaid, because that's what we're seeing right now. In order to win, you have to a little bit overpay. So you start preparing the clients what they need to do. You start telling them about the offers, what goes into an offer, what are the things in an offer. Sometimes you tell them situations that you're seeing right now in the market, and you gauging their interest in home buying process. Don't run into showing homes, because you could be also writing contracts that you don't really have a strong buyer in today's market. You need to be qualifying the buyers too, and that should be also, maybe that should be even the before the preparation of the client. That should probably be with your questions and your communication with the buyer. Qualify the buyer, make sure that buyer is ready to buy in today's environment. When you're in the property with your clients, and the clients show interest and they want to submit an offer, you need to gauge how bad do they want the property, how much do they want it. Is it like we need to get it no matter what, or is it let's try, and if this price doesn't work, we're not going to get it? Or is it in between? It's like, we're interested. We don't want to be too crazy on it. We're not going to cry if we don't get it, but this property will work for us, and we are ready to fight for it. Not too crazy. It would be 8 out of 10, because I usually ask from 0 to 10, how bad do you want it? They'll give me 7, they give me 8, they give me 4. 4 means there's a lot of things missing. They just want to try a low ball, which you can do it. You can train them to write offers, but don't get too much expectations. Try to learn and ask more questions from these clients to learn what they are actually looking, because this particular, not really, the property that they really want if it's 4. But if it's 8, you can ask what's missing, and they can tell you the backyard's too small, or maybe it's too close to school. Some people don't like it. You'll be surprised. But it could be a corner. Maybe we don't really like a corner, but this one's fine. It could be some little things, but you'll go into it because you don't want them to cancel based on that. Okay, you have to remember that. You need to figure out that little thing that's still missing. You don't want that to be a deal breaker on inspection, because on inspection, they're going to be looking at things a little bit closer, and they're going to be evaluating things, numbers and everything, and they might just, you know what, it's a corner. We don't really want a corner, but we saw it's a corner when we saw it. Why would we write an offer? All right, so you have to make sure what is that still missing, because if they tell you from 0 to 10, it's 7, okay, what's missing in order to get it to 10? And listen to it and ask it one more time to make sure that it's not going to be a problem if we get the property. All right, moving on. Now what you're going to do is you're going to call the listing agent in front of them. You're going to try. Sometimes it doesn't happen, but sometimes it does. So you're going to call in front of them, and you're going to ask the questions. Is there any offers? My client shows interest. When is the deadline? What do we need to do to get it? What is the seller looking for in terms of closing time? And is there anything else that's important for the seller? And what do you think about this number? And you discuss something and you throw the number. Think about what you want to think about it, but this thing works, okay? If you try it, you'll see it works. So then you get to all of that information, and if they heard it and if they know about it, then they're going to do a better decision based on that information. Sometimes you aren't able to get that listing agent on the phone. You try this text message. You can sometimes show it to them. See how it goes, but that's going to be one of your first things, and that sometimes will make them change their mind right away. Sometimes it's not going to change anything, but that's the step you should not be missing. You should be making a call in front of your clients right away at the showing. And sometimes when they're looking and they're hearing and they got the live updates from you making that call, and they seeing the property firsthand, they have a little bit different connection and their decisions are made a little bit differently too. Because sometimes I'm telling you, if I'm buying one thing and I know there's nobody, I'm putting lower offers. If I know there's a bunch of people, I'm putting different offer now because I'm looking at this thing a little bit differently. So after you got the information from the listing agent, you convey that to your buyers. Now you're talking about everything that goes into the contract. You talk about the price, earnest money, how fast we deliver earnest money, the closing date, as is, contingencies, appraisal addendum, escalation clause, your commission, and everything like that. You go through everything. You give your suggestion. Maybe you don't know all the comps and everything. You're gonna do it once you get in front of the computer, but you get their opinion, and maybe you already have an opinion you can share. Just don't forget this little principle. Um, when you're going to be giving your opinion based on what you think they should be writing, and they tell you something different, you tell them that I will listen to you and I will do what you say, but here's my opinion. And my suggestion would be, in order to win this property, remember you told me you wanted, it was 8 out of 10. You don't say that, but it's in the back of your head. You go, you tell, this is the number, this is the price, this is how much earnest money, and we have to go as is, or we don't have to go as is. You give them suggestion based on what you think. And if you don't know, you need to be talking to either a mentor or a managing broker or somebody that will explain to you what needs to be done in order to win properties in today's market. I can't really educate you right now on because I don't know which market you're looking at and what kind of properties you are buying, but there's patterns. There's patterns in order to win offers. So if you tell your clients what needs to be done, sometimes they will change their mind, sometimes they won't, but they still need to hear because you are the expert. If you do what they tell you to do and you don't give any suggestions, they don't need you. They can do it through AI, through an app, through a website. They don't need you. Trust me. If you are not helping them make a decision, you're worthless. So you have to give them the suggestion and then listen to what they say, but a lot of times they will adjust what they do. Now, you have the offer, you have all the terms, and you have the permission from them to go and convince the listing agent to pick your clients. So you go back to the listing agent, you submit an offer, and then you call and ask, how are we looking? Are we in the mix? Are we winning? What's missing? What do we need to get in order to win? We have the whole list. I have the whole list. I'm pulling up right here. I have a whole list of questions that you need to be using in order for you to win these offers. This is a list of questions that I'm going through with each of my agents, and I give it to them. We have it on Google Drive. We explain it. This is a list of questions you need to be going one by one, or you just pick. Sometimes they give you everything, and you just need to use one of them, and sometimes use it one by one every single time. Some agents won't talk to you, but that's what you need to do in order for your clients to win. Remember this: if you get any sort of information and your clients give you, let's say, a hint that they're not going to be offering more, they tell you right away, I'm not going to be going over this particular number, and no matter what, this is my top line. Even if you learn that it's not enough, you just think, well, my clients told me that this is not enough, so okay, well, we're not going to get this one. You still go back to the client and say, no, look, I know you told me that $450 is the most you're going to pay for this house, but they told me they have way more. And you let them think about it, and I've had millions of situations, I mean, not millions, but hundreds of situations where they changed their mind. They said, okay, let's do another 15,000. We'll do it. You will hear it many, many times, and sometimes that would be the winning offer. So one more thing you have to remember: when you're communicating with a listing agent, you have to stay on top of the listing agent. You have to first email, CC the lender, text, and of course, every single time you want to try to call, sometimes they don't pick up the phone, but you text. So you use all sorts of, reach out: email, text, and phone call. Never forget. And be on top of the deal until the decision-making time. Sometimes they make a decision, let's say Sunday 6 p.m. and Sunday 4 o'clock, you're going to make a call. You're going to make a text if they don't pick up. And you're going to email if they don't respond to these two. And you're going to find out, how are we looking? Are we in the mix, or are we the winning one? We're looking good. Sometimes listing agent will explain. You say, is it good enough to win? And these are the steps that 99% of buyers agents don't do, because I'm on the listing side now a lot and I'm seeing these offers, and they just submit. They just submit. 1 out of 10 will be actively following up, and usually that will be the one that wins. Usually that's the one that gets the contract. Um, Sometimes, of course, if you're submitting an offer and it's low, and you know it's low, and your clients know it's low, it's just they're trying to win. If it gets that low, they'll take it. If not, they won't take it. Then, of course, you're going to submit. You're going to get information. You're going to give it to them. They're not going to raise the price. You're not going to be following up and staying on top of it. But sometimes they're a really serious buyer. They're ready to buy. They will do the things that needs to be done in order to get it. But the buyer's agent isn't getting those updates. That's our job. We need to get those updates. So we're staying on top. Through the best thing is to make a call. If you're afraid of making a call, I don't know, push yourself to do it. It's just you have to do it because you've done so much work already. You did all sorts of video. You did all sorts of networking events. You did a bunch of calls. You worked with a client. You drove many miles. You showed 50 homes. You wrote the contract. Just do a freaking final call. Stay on top of this client. Stay on top of the listing agent. Get those final updates. Use this list that I'm posting right here. Use this list for questions, and ask those questions and get that information, give it to the buyer, help them make a decision. Boom, you got the contract. One more thing. Sellers, listing agents have fears. They have a fear of, first of all, your buyer is not really pre-approved. It's just a fake pre-approval. Sometimes, maybe not. Maybe it's just a pre-approval from the lender who has no experience, or you have no experience working with. Second fear is that the buyer is going to negotiate an inspection, and they're going to be nickel and diming, and they're going to be canceling the contract. Third fear is that they never going to, the property is not going to appraise, and the buyer is going to back out. Fourth is that the seller is going to, we're going to have a bad relationship with the seller, and the seller is going to take a listing from me and give it to another agent because I picked the wrong buyer. The fourth thing is that it's not going to close on time, and we will have to resell it to a new buyer. And then those buyers that wrote offers, they disappear. The fifth one is that, you know, there's going to be a lot of friction and a lot of disagreements, and at the end of the day, my seller is not going to be happy. It's going to close, but it's not going to be happy, my seller. So we're going to have a bad relationship after this deal. So all these things, you have to communicate to the listing agent. You have to cover all of this up. You have to explain to the listing agent, look, my buyer is the buyer your seller was dreaming about. I qualified my buyer. It's 9 out of 10. They're happy about the property. They can't wait to get the keys for the property. I promise you, the lender we're working with is going to close. The buyer will perform. We are going to get this deal done, and you're going to have the smoothest deal of your lifetime. We're going to make sure we stay on top of all the guidelines. We're going to close it on time. It's going to be the smoothest deal you ever tried. The seller, you're going to be looking as a superhero in the eyes of your seller. I promise I will do this for you. Trust me, I'm here to make your life easy, and I brought the best client you were dreaming about for this property. How does this sound? This sounds amazing. And the listing agent, I beg buyers agents that send me listings, offers on my listings, tell me this. I never hear it. I never hear it. I do it all the time. I never hear these things. They sometimes do a little bit. To this day, one lady that wrote me an offer on the property that I listed 3 years ago, to this day, I remember her lines on her email. She said, let me tell you how I work. I stay on top of all the deadlines to make sure we're successfully on track to close the property on a agreed date. And then some other things. But this line was like, oh my God, I showed it to my wife. And we were like, this is amazing. This is wow. And she won the offer, of course, and she got the property. She closed it on time, and she, did everything perfect. But not because of that line of email, of course, but because she stayed in touch with me and she did everything that needs to be done in order to win the property. That's how it works. That's how it works. Seller just wants the top dollar. Seller wants to close for the top dollar. And if somebody can promise that we can do it and deliver and perform and do what needs to be done, they will get the property. So here's the thing. You might be doing 99% of things right, but you're missing that little touch because you don't want to be annoying. You don't want to be, I already called 4 hours ago. Why do I need to call again? You don't have to call every 3 to 4 hours. You can, if there's a deadline, you can submit an offer, get in touch, and get an update a couple hours before the deadline. Because that sometimes the situation isn't clear if you keep bugging every single hour. Sometimes listing agent doesn't even know what's happening because they're still waiting. Offers still keep coming. But if you get an update soon before the deadline, most of the times you're going to have the picture is already clear. And also remember this, sometimes decision could be made before the deadline. Let's say they have 2 offers and you're sitting with the 3rd offer, not even submitting. You're just waiting for a final hour to submit your offer. And you're going to hear like, oh, we already chose an offer. Sorry, we already signed and delivered. But you're like, but you were supposed to do it by 5 p.m. And the listing agent is going to say, well, it's the seller's decision. I'm sorry. Seller already picked. I didn't want to wait. And you're like, okay, we'll be a backup now just because you didn't submit it. So submit and then follow up before the end of that, like before the deadline, and get the update as soon as you submit. Get the update. If the difference too big, get an update in between. If it's 2 days, 3-4 days, get an update somewhere in between, just to keep them engaged and let them know that you're still there and you're very motivated. Also, deliver the motivation. If the buyer is very motivated, make sure you deliver that. You tell them, tell me what needs to be done. We'll get it done, and we'll get the property, and we'll get this property closed. You have to deliver that. Don't try to play hardball. Don't try to show that you're a super negotiator. Don't try to, show that you're not weak or whatever. You need to get the property. The first goal, sometimes the goal for the buyer is to get the property. The second goal is to get it for the good price. But sometimes just a reasonable price is okay for the buyer. They need to get that particular property because it works perfect for them. And if you don't get it, you're the bad realtor. Just that's how it is in the eyes of the buyers. If you're not suggesting them what they need to do, if you're not educating them, if you're not showing all the tools in the contract, they don't think you're good. They don't value you. And you might say that, well, I don't do it because they told me they're not going to go over 250. And I know that needs to be done 275. So what's the point? You deliver that. And that's now on them. They cannot blame you because you did your job. So always remember this. Is there anything to blame you for? And if you hear this from the buyer that they bought the property, they didn't buy the property, they wrote an offer, but they didn't buy the property. But then after that, they find out that the property sold for $5,000 more than what their offer is. And they said, we could have paid that. Shame on you for not doing that, for not telling them to raise the price if you knew it. Even if you didn't know, you could have probably figured out before that went on a contract. You could have probably known that we need to update our offer because it feels like the listing agent is not really talking to me much. There's somebody else that they're talking to. And you're going to feel when the listing agent is talking to you like you're the winning offer, your buyers are going to be getting the property, or you're just you're in the mix. And I like to use that mix word. I like to ask listing agents, are we the winners or are we in the mix? You will hear it. You will be able to pick it up. You'll know whether you're in the mix or you're winning. Even sometimes if you're winning, you could be losing 5 minutes later because there's somebody else there who's coming. Here's a little trick. I'll give it to you as a final bonus for watching this video all the way till here. And if you did watch it to here, here's a bonus. It will help you get some offers. Here's what I've done once, and you could try it. Say like this. You write an offer. It's already a good offer. It's already a great offer. Great offer. And you're the first one, and you're being very fast. You submit an offer that's over ask. You use all the tools. You submit a great offer, and you tell them like this. Can we take the property off the market with this offer? Listing agent and seller is probably not really going to be super happy and super fast with this, but you tell them like this. If this property is removed by the end of today off the market, we up our offer by another 5 or 10,000. You decide how much you want to do it. If they accept it today, we'll give them 5 or 10,000 more. They go back to the seller. Seller will have something to think about. This is a really great offer. But be careful. Don't do it in the other way. Don't say that if it's not accepted, we'll lower. Never do that. You always up if it's updated today. If it's signed today and removed from the market today. If it's not, then it just stays whatever it is. And even if you're getting into negotiations and it's going to be signed tomorrow, you're still going to up. And if it's needed, you're going to do that number. But you get that from the buyer. You need to get that permission from the buyer first, of course. Then you go back to the listing agent saying, can we get that property off the market and signed today? And if the seller will do it, we'll up the offer. Just like a bonus for being fast with us. But if you're not, we stay the same, and our offer is already good. This will work. This will work. This is the final bonus one. And if you like this topic, I can be talking a lot about this. I have a lot to say about this one, but I just wanted to make it so it's watchable. It's like 25 minutes already, or whatever, 20 minutes.